is something many of us might be guilty of. Risking a parking ticket just to pop in the shops for a few minutes.
But the Local Government Secretary, Eric Pickles, says drivers should be able to do this without the threat of a fine, and it would boost the economies of towns and city centres.
Joining us now, Greg Cousins from Rochdale High Street Foundation and Jeanette Miller from the Association of Motor Offence Lawyers. Very good morning to you. You come at this, in a way, from different ends of this spectrum. But let's first talk about, Greg, the plan that you envisaged for parking. How has it worked in practice?
Well, we introduced the 3 after 3 in Rochdale to try and boost the economy. The downturn was quite catastrophic, but the results have been fantastic.
So you mean the situation before, there was a real problem with people not being able to shop in the city centre?
Yeah. You could see the supermarkets were full, mothers were picking the children up from school. We wanted to bring that business back into the town centre.
And you had unlimited, so after 3 o'clock you could park as long as you like?
As long as you like, yeah. It's 3 after 3. And it is a huge success. You cannot find a parking space in Rochdale after 3.
And how much money did the council lose as a result?
As I said, I was head of finance at the time. Off the top of my head, it was about 160,000.
But do you think, do the numbers equate, as in do the shopkeepers and the business and the revenue that was created, do you think in reality that there is a parity there?
Definitely worth it, because obviously you've got more businesses that are successful, you've got more business rates being paid. I think the parking revenue should never have been a revenue. I think that needs to be addressed.
Well, Jeanette, you're from the Association of Motor Offence Lawyers. Yeah. Can parking wardens ease up on issuing tickets, which would be an alternative to introducing completely free parking?
I think there are a number of problems with the proposals that Pickles outlined. I think it would be great if that were possible, and this popping in to get a loaf of bread for 10 minutes from a shop were possible, but I think enforcement would be a real issue.
I mean, how much discretion do they have?
There is discretion, but I think what you'll find is that there are targets for parking attendants to reach. I myself got a ticket the other day. I was really quite cross because I was a few minutes late. I was running and they said, "Oh, you should have shouted." And I couldn't have done much more to indicate that I was returning to my car. But I think the local authorities are aware that people don't tend to challenge a lot of parking notices. It costs time and money to do that, and they make a lot of money from parking enforcement. There was some research done by Confused.com last year that said that there's currently 8 billion a year generated through parking enforcement in the UK, and around 78% of the country's motorists are paying about £150 a month on parking. So this, I have my doubts as to whether Pickles' proposals are actually genuine or whether they are headline grabbers. We were all talking about it today, and potentially votes generating topics.
So in practice, if this were possible, sort of technically, legally, you've got a 10-minute period, and then is there, what's the there's a mythology about this, is there another kind of 4.5 minutes beyond that is the discretion time that so you'd end up with kind of 15 minutes?
I don't know how he proposes to actually implement this. And there's another issue, we're constantly hearing how we're living in austere times where there's no money to spend on local authority expenses. Are we really going to see a relaxation of parking enforcement, which does generate income for the local authority? It's going to cost money to implement as well, so there's that issue.
Greg, we were just talking about the fact that once you'd introduced it, you said you couldn't find a parking space in Rochdale for love nor money. Well, isn't that part of the problem? That if you have controlled parking, everyone gets a chance to park. Whereas if you have free parking, people just park and leave their cars and that's it, and you get space blockers.
Absolutely. So what the next stage to me needs to be, we need to actually have more parking spaces. If the town centres are now having to contract because of the internet, various reasons, the economy, then let's have more parking spaces.
Don't town centres then become huge car parks?
But you don't go to the supermarkets and worry about whether you're going to get a parking space.
Do you direct, for example, on a purely practical level, I mean, if someone parks at 10 to 3, do you direct your traffic wardens not to issue tickets for a sort of window just before?
There is, as you were saying, there is an element of discretion.
Okay.
So no one gets a ticket at 2 minutes to 3?
I would not say that.
With a lawyer listening. Thank you for your time. It interests a lot of people out there.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
7:28 is